Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in Brick, New Jersey, and I'll be replacing a light lift. I have an Aladdin 200-pound rated light lift that we're going to be installing. We're going to remove the old light lift first, and then we'll put the new one in, and I just wanted to bring you along to show you how we do that. The first thing I need to do is unload this 14-foot A-frame ladder that I rented from Home Depot. I don't normally have a need for a 14-foot A-frame ladder, and they are kind of expensive, so whenever I do need one, I rent it. It cost me, I think, $56 for a 24-hour period. I picked it up last night, and so I got to be back there today by 5 o'clock or 5:30, quarter to 6. Anyhow, so the first order of business is to get this ladder off the ladder and get it set up inside the house. Take the old light fixture down so we can disassemble the old light lift and prepare it for the new light lift. So thanks for coming back to the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do that so you don't miss any updates that I have to the channel. And as always, thanks for coming back. The previous light lift that was here is made by a company called Wilshire, and they're no longer in business. This light fixture, as you can see, it didn't shut off and it went actually through the ceiling. So I don't know if it was ever installed correctly. I guess it was, but I'm not too familiar with this brand, and I could not get parts. Did a couple quick searches online for stuff, and I asked a couple of suppliers, electrical supply houses, if they had anything, and I reached, wasn't able to get anything. So we decided to put this new Aladdin light lift in, and so the first order of business is to take this light fixture down and remove the old light lift. So I'd been to this house maybe like a year ago, or maybe even 2 years. I don't think it was that long, but at least a year ago. And I told them that I couldn't find parts, and I just had to make it. They had to make a decision whether or not they wanted to do this or not. They called me back to do some other work and asked me about it again, and then I offered to do the work and give them a price, and came back maybe like a week or two later to do the work. This is up in the attic, and that blue box over my right shoulder right there is the plug that they had used, or actually it's a receptacle, not a plug. The receptacle they had used to energize the old light lift. So that's exactly how I'm going to redo it. I'm going to set up a cord from the new light lift and plug it in, and then of course there's also the other wire up there is the switch leg, and the on-off switch for this particular light is right beside the front door. That also comes up here. So there's two sets of wires that go into the light lift, one to power the motor and the other one to energize the light. And when you get to wiring the Aladdin light lift, you'll notice that the motor has a 14 amp, has 14 gauge wire, neutral, and of course the switch leg itself is a 12 gauge. That's how you're able to tell. Now that doesn't mean it requires a 12 gauge wire to energize the light. That's not the case at all. They just want you to connect the right neutral wire to the switch leg and the correct neutral wire to the motor. So here, getting this old light fixture down was kind of a pain in the neck. The canopy was attached by two 632s and two nuts on the other side, and not by a lock nut, which was kind of strange to me. What I wound up doing was reusing the canopy, but the hickey that held the chain for the fixture broke as I was trying to disattach it from the old threaded rod from the old light lift. So now that I've got the wires disconnected up at the light lift, I'm able to pull this lamp cord down through the nipple, and then I'll be able to release the light lift from the chain and very gently set it down next to this window up top here, so it's out of the way, and so I'm not accidentally breaking it while I'm moving this ladder or doing whatever I got to do. Be very careful at this point. Obviously, I'm on the second to highest step of this 14-foot A-frame, and you better have a good game plan before you go up there to decide to take down this fixture. I'm a pretty big guy, and I'm pretty strong, I like to think, and so this fixture was maybe 35, 40 pounds, I think. But what I'm doing here is trying to figure out a way for that canopy to not fall down once I take this light fixture off of this hook here, this swag hook. or the chain rather, the adjustable chain. Now is the time we can bring the rest of the chain up and remove this old lift and get this out of the way to make room for the new lift. The Aladdin Light Lift that we'll be installing is rated for 200 pounds. It has a cable of 35 feet long, and it's equipped with the maximum capacity for the lighting circuit of 1,650 watts. The key measurement that you need to have to install this light lift correctly is the distance from the top of the ceiling joist to the finished surface on the ceiling. That measurement here is 8 inches. I have a 2x8 ceiling joist that measures 7.5 inches, plus the 1/2 inch of sheetrock to get that ceiling box flush with the ceiling.
That's just perfect.
Obviously that ceiling opening is a little bit bigger than the box. That's because the previous light fixture came through the ceiling, did not stop, and that was part of the problem with the old light lift, which is why we're replacing it. I couldn't get parts. I believe it was a limit switch that needed to be changed, but I could not find that part, so we had to put a new light lift. I'm installing a plastic medallion to cover up the roughed up ceiling that was broken from the previous light lift. Instead of patching that ceiling, we're going to put this medallion to cover it up. This was at the request of the homeowner. They had asked for this to do this. And so this 10-inch medallion is plastic and it sticks to the ceiling here. Unfortunately, the first time I went to go put it up, the surface that I used on the opposite side of the medallion was right by where my hand is right there, which is where the sheetrock was missing. So naturally, it had nothing to adhere to. So you'll see here in a moment where I think I have it up there. You only got to hold this stuff for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and it fell. So I said, what am I going to do? So what I wound up doing was putting more liquid nails on a section, and I just had to double up the liquid nails around the outside of the medallion. Here you'll see where I'm adding it right there. Now that part's not flush with the ceiling, so you got to add a lot of liquid nails just to get it to attach to the ceiling. But once I did that, it's stuck on there, no problem. You want to hold it there for maybe a minute if you can. Obviously, I've edited this video. If you hold it there for a minute, the liquid nail should take to the sheetrock and it won't be going anywhere. Now, if you use screws right here to attach it, you would actually see the screws, so that's not a good idea, and I definitely don't endorse that. So here I am. Now I'm wiring the light lift itself. So like I said, there's going to be a cord for the motor that's going to plug in right above my right shoulder right there, which is out of the picture. And of course the wiring from the switch leg going to the light lift here for the light. Those are the two cables that you need to connect. The wiring is there for you. The switches are provided. All you need to do is make sure everything's grounded properly, hook up your neutrals, and you can tell which neutral is which by the size of the wire. I believe the motor was a 14 gauge and the light switch was a 12 gauge neutral. That's how you know the difference between the two wires. This is the old Light Lift controller. I'll be replacing this, and unfortunately some of my footage is missing. I'm not sure what happened, if the battery died or what. But I ran the new wire from the Light Lift, the low voltage control wire that comes with the Light Lift. You'll see I'll take this box out and I will fish in the new cable from the Light Lift. But unfortunately, like I said, that wiring, it's just a connector that goes one connected to the other. From the Light Lift to the controller, it's just a plastic connector that connects. And basically all it does is controls the Light Lift going up and the Light Lift going down. In case you were wondering, it does automatically stop when it gets to the ceiling. And it's a 35-foot cable, so you'll be hitting the floor long before it shuts down on the down cycle. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Here's the first look at the lift in operation here. That weight you see on the bottom comes with the Light Lift itself, and it needs to be attached in order to lower it down to the floor here so we can install the light fixture. It has two little hex head screws that you can undo with your Allen wrench key, and then you'll unthread it and do away with it. You can throw this away afterwards. But the Light Lift will not operate without some kind of weight on it. Now that we got the weight off, we want to do our adjustments with the canopy. We want to make sure that this canopy is about 1/8 of an inch lower than the flush area of the ceiling. And the reason why we need to do that is we need to make sure that that plate makes contact with the other plate right underneath the Light Lift up by the ceiling. That's what energizes the light right there. So I like to get the canopy set just right with the lock nuts before I attach my light, obviously. It's just easier to do that now rather than later. And if I haven't already told you, this 14-foot A-frame ladder is a beast. Be careful when you're putting it up against the wall so you don't scratch the wall. So now I'm just reattaching the old light fixture that they had. I think it's a nice looking light fixture. I like stained glass a lot. I like that look. And basically what this does here is there's an adjustable hook right here that hooks onto the light fixture, okay? And we'll tighten up that hook, and then we'll raise our canopy, and we'll attach our lock nut, and then we'll be able to raise the light for the first time and test to see if everything works. If you like this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. Thank you. Whenever I install a pendant light or a chandelier like this, the chain that's there, when I'm running the lamp cord through the chain, I go through every other section of chain. I also like to leave as much wire as possible inside that canopy. Not a ton of wire, but just enough to work with. So we're talking maybe 6 or 8, 10 inches at the most. That's really overkill. But I like to have the extra room in there in case I need to go up there and work on it. Just makes troubleshooting, disconnecting and removing, replacing easier when you do that. So once this is done here, we'll raise the canopy, we'll attach the lock nut to the hickey, and then we'll raise it up to see how we did. Right, so one of the things I wanted to show you guys was how this light lift actually gets its power from the box up in the attic there. Well, actually on the top of the ceiling. So when you look at the round plate right here, it's like a flat wire. So when the light lifts up, it'll make contact with the other plate at the top, completing the circuit. So that's why you never want to have the light switch on at the same time that you're lowering the lift or raising the lift. You just want to prevent that arcing that might happen, that will happen. So even in the directions it says, do not operate this lift with the light switch on. So turn the light switch off for lowering it and you're good to go. After any alignment adjustments have been made, the last thing you need to do is attach this light lift, the unit strut right here, to the ceiling joist mechanically. I just used 1-inch number 8 screws. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.